voice calls, data, text, images, video. All of these can be called telecommunications when sent electronically. It depends. Telstra, Orange, Vodafone, Verizon, T-Mobile. These are some of the telecommunication companies that service our mobile networks across the globe. Starlink is among the global telecommunication companies that use satellites. But how much revenue and how much profit in telecommunications? The average profit is 12.5% in 2022, not including satellites. It can be higher or lower depending on the sector. Orange, for example, is a French telecommunications company that operates in Europe, Africa, and a number of other places. In total, they are in 26 countries and have 127,000 employees worldwide, 291 million customers, and 40 billion euros in revenue, or the equivalent to $45 billion US. Although they are in less than half the countries in Africa, their website states that 3 in 10 Africans are Orange customers. It must be said that at the time of researching for this video, Orange has just signed a contract to use satellites operated by OneWeb. Another example for revenue and profit is Telstra. They were founded in Melbourne, Australia, and they have just under 34,000 employees as of June 2024. In 2023, revenue was 23.25 billion Australian dollars against a profit of 3.392 billion Australian dollars. Verizon has a revenue of $134.7 billion US and a net income of $28.6 billion. According to Investopedia.com, the telecommunications industry is very capital intensive, with the high costs for research and development, along with the need for continuous capital reinvestment, impacting its net profit margins. They keep updating the infrastructure because technology changes. Back in the 80s, there was what we now refer to as 1G. It allowed for voice calls. It was susceptible to poor quality, such as static and calls dropping off. 2G enabled text messaging, and later on, though slow, 2.5G enabled internet use. To this day, some networks still use 2G for phone calls and text messages. Then came 3G and 4G, each faster than what came before it. And then 5G. 5G is more expensive to install and maintain than 4G, although it is up to 10 times faster than 4G, thanks to the higher radio frequencies that transferred a higher quantity of information faster. Here I am talking about real 5G, not 5G that is supplemented by 4G, which has caused disappointment to some by being slower than true 5G. 5G uses millimeter waves that are higher in frequency than 4G, and that means they lose intensity over a shorter distance, and that is called attenuation. That means they need to be closer to the end user, and if there are trees or buildings in the way, it hinders the signal greatly. That is why a large number of dishes or beacons are required in a city, and it is not economically viable to install them in small towns, where the cost of maintaining them is much higher per user. It is useful in stadiums where there are a large number of people in a tight space using the internet. The next step up is satellites. We have geo satellites and low orbit satellites. A quick comparison between the two can be found on freedomsat.co.uk. Low orbit satellite broadband has made significant strides in addressing the issues experienced by geo broadband users. It has substantially lowered latency and greatly increased speeds of up to 220 megabytes per second down and 30 megabytes per second upload, while one limitation remains in place, which is data caps. The approach adopted by Starlink greatly differs from traditional data caps. Starlink bundles priority data with unlimited standard data. The priority data is the capped data. However, once depleted, you are not restricted to unbearably slow speeds, but instead you simply gain a lower priority on the network when the network becomes loaded, and to date, it seems to have had little impact on user experience. Geosatellites are around 22,000 miles above the Earth in a geostation orbit, meaning that they are always above the same place on Earth. SpaceX owns Starlink. They are planning to have over 40,000 satellites, only 342 miles above the Earth. As of June 2025, there are over 7,000 Starlink satellites in orbit. The Clarus Network Group is a communications group that works with various groups, like the National Health Service in the UK. In 2022, they signed a deal to distribute OneWeb across Europe, and in October 2022, according to their website, Clarus became one of only a handful of globally authorized Starlink resellers, further expanding their capabilities in serving the energy and maritime markets. They explain some of the benefits of Starlink from an operational point of view. Low-cost launches. As the world's leading provider of launch services, SpaceX is the only satellite operator with the ability to launch its own satellites as needed. With frequent low-cost launches, Starlink satellites are constantly updated with the newest technology. Starlink satellites autonomously maneuver to avoid collisions with orbital debris and other spacecraft. This capability reduces human error and provides exceptional reliability, exceeding the industry standard by an order of magnitude. Efficient ion thrusters powered by Krypton enable Starlink satellites to orbit, raise, maneuver in space, and deorbit at the end of their useful life. Starlink is the first Krypton-propelled spacecraft ever flown. The rivalry between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk is real. I quote Webopedia. Musk and Bezos' rivalry began in 2004 when they first met to discuss space exploration. But tensions mounted over their differing visions. Clashes over NASA contracts, satellite launches, and reusable rocket technology were key factors, leading to lawsuits and public insults. Beyond space, their rivalry extended to include other industries, including the automotive sector, with Bezos' acquisition of ZooX and Musk repeatedly mocking him for copying ideas. By 2025, signs of reconciliation appeared, and they traded compliments on social media. And Amazon returned to advertising on Elon Musk's X platform. There was also Tesla versus Rivian, a company Amazon invested in, and Starlink versus Amazon's Project Kuiper. Project Kuiper was announced by Amazon in 2019. It is a low Earth orbit satellite broadband network. They have invested about $140 million into a satellite processing facility based at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. In October 2023, Amazon had two prototype satellites launched, KuiperSat-1 and KuiperSat-2. On the 28th of April 2025, United Launch Alliance, or ULA, transported 27 Project Kuiper satellites into low Earth orbit. I quote Wikipedia. United Launch Alliance, or ULA, is an American launch service provider formed in December 2006 as a joint venture between Lockheed Martin Space and Boeing Defense, Space and Security. The company designs, assembles, sells and launches rockets, but the company subtracts out the production of rocket engines and solid rocket boosters. Amazon are planning to begin services in late 2025. The benefits of having these satellites. An article found on Google entitled Wingland, the village where broadband costs £100,000, describes the predicament of Kevin Mortimer. He says that he and his wife are unable to stream or video call family due to poor internet. They had a 1 megabit internet speed and were quoted £100,000 to upgrade the broadband for the area. This is where satellite internet could be useful. Virgin Media put it well. While it may not be as fast as fibre optic broadband, satellite broadband can reach almost anywhere on Earth. This makes it a great option for people living in places without internet connection, such as rural farms, islands, or even ships at sea. It's also crucial for disaster recovery efforts and remote scientific research, allowing people to have an internet connection when they need it most. In summary, the future of telecommunications is going to include satellites more and more. It's a world where a dead zone may be a thing of the past. Thank you for your time. You have been listening to Brain Manor.